Hi everybody, my favorite cousins in the whole world, my Alden family. I am so happy to welcome you to my new home in Duxbury. As you know, I have wanted to move here for a very long time and I'm finally here. And one of my closest cousins and friends is here, Pauline Kezer. She is the president of Alden Kindred of America. And we are here to chit chat a little bit about what's going on. She comes over and visits, and we usually just sit here and gab away, but we thought, why not have you all gab with us? So here we are to chit chat a little bit about all the initiatives that are going on. We talk a lot about what's happening. You're seeing Trivia Tuesday every Tuesday, which has been a lot of fun. We Alden should be winning that every week. We're the ones with the knowledge. But anyway, so Pauline's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on, why we're doing this big campaign and raising this money for this educational center that will be so vital to sharing not only our Alden history, but our American history, which matters to all of us. So, Pauline, thanks for hanging out.
Well,
thanks for coming up.
It's great to be here. I just walked in the door. I drove up from Connecticut this morning, and it's delightful to have you here, because now I come up, I have a board meeting tonight, I sleep over, I can go back the next morning, and we can develop our friendship even more. And it's a pleasure that you've moved up here. I think it's great. And just so you know, if you look behind us, that's her piano. It just arrived. Last time I was here, it wasn't here. So Adryn's over the moon, right?
Yes, I could not wait. It took forever, but it's here now.
Right. I wanted to talk to you today about the ABC campaign, the Alden Building Campaign, because, I think people know it's around. I'm not sure they understand why we're doing this and how it came about. So a good thing to do is to talk about how it came about. And it really started about, well, I'm going to say it started in 2017 when we became a National Historic Landmark. That was a big process. It had to go through the Department of Interior and be recognized federally as a National Historic Landmark. And Tom McCarthy, our historian, did oodles of work to make that happen. And they did make it happen. And they included the first site, which sits on the high school backyard, if you will, and our property on Alden Street. So we've never really taken that to another level. And it's always set on my mind that we should be doing something different with that. And so I've been on the board. I was on the board at the time in 2017, but I became the president of this organization 6 years ago now. Oh my gosh, the time flies. But we sat on 2.5 acres of what was once 100 acres. I tell everybody, if I owned 100 acres in Duxbury, I have no problem with be asking anybody for a dime. We'd sell an acre and we'd build it. But the case is that we are on 2.5 acres, and the property right next door that abutted us, that was originally part of the original Alden land, came up for sale in the market. Right after I said I do to being the president, that happened. I said, we've got to get it. They tried a few years before that, and they were hemming and hawing. They didn't want to take that step. And under my leadership, I guess, had support for, yes, by all means, we should take that land. It has 2 Alden buildings on it. So it had a little farmhouse up on the hill, and what was a barn is now a one bedroom apartment, and it was the barn.
And sorry to interrupt, but just to be clear, so this was the original Alden land that was granted to John and Priscilla here in Duxbury. So this is the original land. We only had 2.5 acres to start, and as soon as it came up, that's what we're doing. We're getting the original lands back, our heritage land. So it's exciting.
And when they cut those lands originally in portions, they were so smart. It was like spokes of a wheel. They gave everybody a piece of the water, the beach, the marsh, the farmland, and the woodland. So you could be self-sufficient. You could fish, you could travel by canoe or something. And the marsh provided lots of interesting mollusks, etc. But it also provided moss grass, hay grass, like for your bedding. And then you had your farmland, and then you had your wood, so you could take that down and build things, etc. So it was a good idea. So the 2.5 acre piece that we had left was long and narrow, and we have a mirror image of it now, 2.5 over here. That the driveway had been right on that property line. There was no way we could ever expand. We had stuff in the front, stuff in the back, but you could never expand it widthwise. So the minute we bought that, it was with the idea that, oh my goodness, should we be able to do this, we should be able to expand our barn. We now could. So how are we going to do this? We're a little organization. We needed to put down a down payment, and Generous Aldens came forward to do that, just like that. And we wanted the mortgage to be paid for, so we have renters in this little farmhouse, we have renters in the one bedroom, and we have a little caretaker's office. So we have 3 young couples that live there, and it pays the mortgage. So
yeah, self-sufficient. I mean, that's well thought.
So now we do a little strategic planning and stuff, because I've been involved in a lot of organizations, especially in their governance, and it's good to do strategic planning, and some of those processes take a time, but we wanted to do a shorter process. So I found a process called getting to no longer to not yet. It was a quicker process to use to really focus in on what it is we thought we'd do. And we did it with our board, we did it with other people that were interested, we did it with a few townsfolk on. So we put a good group together to talk about it. And the result was that we really needed to expand our space. We're a National Historic Landmark. We have the upper level of the barn, which is small. If you put 25 people in there, you're like this. So it's about the size of this room.
It is.
And
if even, I mean, it's so small
it's
in
tiny.
there. It's really hard to...
That's our classroom, that's our meeting rooms, that's our store.
It's just
there's a display area, and that's it. That's all we have. So that's not adequate to do an adequate job of telling about our history and exploring it and expanding. So,
which is so key. I think particularly over the past couple of years, we've really seen how important it is to not only preserving, but sharing and educating on our history. And it's not just Alden history. This is American history. It's a history.
And it's not just the Alden family. It's going to entail the history of Duxbury in this whole development of this era, and the 2 eras, the pre-colonial and the Revolutionary era, because Aldens were leaders in both. And so that is there. But it's also going to expand to family all over the United States that are Aldens, because you connect the kindred to this really well with some interesting technology that I made a mistake, or maybe it wasn't a mistake, maybe it was a good thing to do, of going to Dublin and going to a brand new museum over there called Epic Ireland, and it's all about emigration and what the Irish did, and where they sent their people and what they did in all areas like science and sports and everything. Cooking, whatever. So I get all sorts of ideas.
And it was very interactive.
Yes.
So it really brings everything to life.
Now, this thing is huge. It's like 22 areas. It's built on the wharf, and all
so
that.
it's more than we would eventually be doing. But
however,
the technology
in there was so great. You could adapt it for something that's small. The piece that hit my eye was it looked like a long table with a shelf underneath, like a billiard table. However, it really was a computer on the top. And it was really like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 9 of those computers on top. It was very large. One section is like a 3 by 5 and could easily fit in a small room and do the same thing.
And it does
this
so much.
This thing was so fascinating. I just have to tell you about it. They had discs. This one was in the sports area. They were talking about sports. And you pick up disc, it'd say swimming or tennis or Gaelic football or rugby or whatever it was, and whoever came to the table could find what they wanted to see. That was key. So you could I picked up the one that said golf, and I put the disc on top of the table, and immediately the information, like a computer, comes up and shows you all about that. And if I turned it, it showed me even more information about who were the Irish people that played the golf and where they played and all that kind of stuff. So can't you imagine a small table like that, and you pick up the 10 names of Priscilla and John's kids.
Right.
So I pick up Jonathan, I put it down, I see, the whole lineage.
All that we know there.
You may want to be looking at Elizabeth.
And Elizabeth, and for me also Ruth, both. Yeah, because many of us come from several different of the children. We have different lines.
And what did Duxbury look like in 1850?
Yeah.
And you can or in 1750, you can do all sorts of things with this program.
It just becomes so engaging and interactive. And just think, we've been talking about always fighting these narratives about our history. This will make it really clear and interactive and fun. You can't miss. But I mean, having this technology.
I dream about this because it's the key to this particular exhibit is the fact that in this case, maybe 4 to 6 people could approach the same exhibit and see what they wanted to see.
Is amazing.
So that's great. And there's tons of other things, holograms that talk to you, or they had Michael Flatley dancing on the wall.
But we'd have John Alden pop up and say, hey, welcome to Alden House. I mean, it's just exciting.
So that ignited a flame, and we began to think, how would we do it? Would you a separate building, expand what we have? The barn was constructed in the 1990s, and it was a replica, so to speak, of a small barn that would be in that time. It was built into the side of the hill that the Alden House sits on. So it has a top floor with that minute space that we talked about, and tucked underneath, because it's only half a building underneath, it's on a hill, is a tiny office, which would be half the size of the space, really crammed with papers and people and stuff like that. Yeah. And if you want to go from the office to the upstairs, you have to go outside, walk up a hill and around. That drives me crazy. In the middle of a meeting, could we get a copy of this? Shh, out around the hill, in the snow, whatever. So the idea thing came from, let's expand the barn. But now we can, because we don't have a driveway there anymore once we start construction. So we plan to build a 2-story addition to the barn that is full 2-story, not the little half one that's there. That will stay, but it won't be, the building next to it will have 2 full stories and 2 larger spaces on each floor, designed to be able to be changed to this and that and the other thing. Down in the bottom, we want to have a hearth, because hearth cooking would be a really neat thing to do, and we'd be able to have groups of maybe 50 to 75 people at an event. Yeah. So that's the plan. Is going to be called the Center for Living History at the Alden Historic Sites, and that's a big piece of the capital campaign, but it's not the only one. And this is what I wanted to tell you the background, how we got to that point. But we also have other responsibilities, and in those strategic talks we talked about that. How are we going to preserve this now almost 400-year-old home till it turns 500?
Yes.
600. So this plan
has been preserved for us.
This plan is to take us sort of through the next 50 years. We want to leave it. I want to leave it in good condition for the next 50 years. And so we don't have a dedicated fund, endowment fund for the house. So we are going to create a preservation fund for strictly the house and first site. So that money is there. And you used to be able to get a lot of grants for these things. Well, let me tell you, granting has changed a lot, especially in this era when they're trying to undo history. And you're going to have a problem, because all the granting things now are 50% to 100% matches. So you must build a fund if you're going to deal with that. And right now we're dealing with a major chimney issue. It's not an easy one to solve. I'll just ask you the question. Do you think the chimney holds the house up, or does the house hold the chimney up? It's a very difficult question. We had a leading expert in here. Nobody wants to say exactly, because they can't. And so we're getting towards some solutions, but it's not easy, because the house is not used. The chimney's not used. We don't build fires there, but chimneys are supposed to be used, and if they're not, they're damp. And when they're damp, the stuff, the flaging and stuff around there, it starts to crumble. So there are huge issues. So part of this campaign is to put at least $500,000 in a preservation fund. And if somebody wants to come along and do the whole thing, they can do that.
Ooh, that'd be great.
We'll name it for them.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll name it for you if you'll do that.
But then the other piece is that you cannot build a larger facility and a more encompassing program and a virtual programming museum that can be open year round without building the capacity to run it.
Right.
And that's really important. So this third leg of the stool, one is the center, one is the preservation fund, third is to build our capacity by increasing our endowment enough to support that size of a building, and also to take care of the mortgage. We hope to get the mortgage off, because then the rents will help us sustain an increased number of people that would have to be on premise during the whole year. So that's what we're doing, and I hope I've explained why we're doing it.
I think you have. I mean, it's a major endeavor.
Some of you may have gotten this in the mail. We mailed certain numbers of them, but they're big and we can't mail them all. But this is fully on Facebook, on our Facebook page, and you can take a look through it, and you can see exactly what we're trying to do by these pictures.
It gives great detail, and if you have not received this and you would like it, please
let me know.
Message me. You can message me and let me know, or you can private message me or post it in the group or whatever, or you can write to Alden House as well, at director@alden.org. You could send it there.
Yeah.
Either way, let us know.
We have a limited number, so we don't have tons
if
of
if you need this and you're really able to contribute or do anything, that would be great. Let us know.
I'm just showing you this is our annual report. It's a very nice one. We get lots of things in there, who sits on your boards, what goes on around there, and we do have the campaign in there as well.
The thermometer.
And it was way down it was way down here. I have to tell you, at this point in time, the total is 2.3 million that we're trying to raise, and we're at 800,000.
800,000
right now.
800,000. I feel like we're a telethon. We're at 800,000. Start calling now.
Well, that's the other thing. I just want to talk about giving. We need to rely on the Aldens, because there's, as I said, fewer and fewer outside sources. Some sources here. We did get a grant from Mass Cultural to help us plan for getting it shovel ready, and we can go back for some funds from them, I hope, but we can't do it quite yet until we finish the planning. But no contribution is too large and no contribution is too small. I mean, Adryn, you have this Facebook page. That's how I found you in the first place.
Yeah.
And it's grown from 2,000 to 4,000 or 5,000 people. And she tends it like a garden. Does she tend it like a garden? Like every day she puts a plant down.
It's a labor of love, because they're all my cousins and we're all together in this. And this is, talk about being all together in this. And
that's how you got to be on the board.
Yes.
I saw her. I said, hey, we need you. And you know what? We need some of you too.
Yes.
So, and now, because we do things virtually as well as in person, you don't have to live close by to be involved. You can be on a committee. You can help us plan this museum. You can help ask other people to give. But I'm thinking, you got 4,000 people. If everybody gave $100, you know what that is? That's 400,000.
I know. That would put us over the million. What we're really hoping to do by the end of the year
is get over $1 million.
Get over $1 million. We're at 800,000 right now. So it's really, and honestly, no amount donation is too small. It's as small or as big as you can do is great. And I just really want you to think about the fact that we know a lot of people ask for a lot, particularly as we're coming up to Giving Tuesday. But I think in this time, it could not be more timely for this, considering what's happened over the past couple of years with our history. We talk about it in our group a lot, about trying to preserve it and make sure that we're telling the true story, because our history is only useful as long as we can learn from it, and we can only learn if we tell it accurately. And this will enable us to do that. And so I can't think of a better time to make this your Giving Tuesday, because it's the time. We have to do it now or we'll lose it forever.
Right. And it's confusing a bit too, because we operate on two sources of income, well, three sources. One is dues. One is the annual fund that we have, which is going on right now. So that's a little confusing, but so our annual fund that's going out goes out mostly to membership, or if we know you have an interest. And it's going out this year. Our Thanksgiving card has another card in it this year. Explain to people, what does the annual fund do and what will the ABC campaign do? in the future.
The building campaign.
It's going to be important to distinguish one from the other.
Right.
And we're asking people that, would give to both. Give to one, name something if you're into that as well. But a lot of times you say, oh, we're having a capital campaign, and people say, oh, that's just not for me because I can't, I'm not a wealthy person. And
you
that's
don't
all right.
have to be. Neither am I.
Look at the
Neither am I.
GoFundMe pages that you see.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing.
They achieve amazing things just from small donations. Help take people, just rocket them to their goals. It doesn't matter. It's just being a part of it, supporting it, getting involved. This is your history. It was preserved for you, and now it's our turn to preserve it for the future. And as I said, and I keep saying, and I'll be talking more about this, the fact is that our history is kind of, we're struggling to preserve it right now, more than ever. And so I hope this Giving Tuesday, or today even, would be great. Consider really giving to this campaign. We need to share this, again, Alden's story, but it's not just for Alden's. This is our American history. And I think we talk about it, because we're Alden cousins, we talk about it so much. But we need to really understand this is our American history. It's for every American to preserve this, because these ancestors of ours, the Aldens, but all on the Mayflower, they started something phenomenal, unprecedented, that had not been done before. This American experiment, which at the time they didn't know that's what it would turn into be, but look what they did with perseverance. And we can do the same. With our perseverance, we can get this through and make something wonderful that will preserve this for the future.
Right. And it just is going to take a lot of people to do a little.
It takes a village, you guys.
We don't have the advantage of having all the biggies in a room and say, oh, here.
No.
Because there are a lot of competing things that are a lot bigger than we are.
We're a nonprofit. We're a nonprofit, and
we always balance our budget, and we're very frugal.
Right on top of it. As she
true.
said, I mean, the mortgage is being paid by the people who are in this. I mean, that's really smart financial planning. It is not, nothing is wasted.
Well,
as
it was
John,
a big
John
step
was
to
known
do
to
this.
be frugal.
It was a big step to do this, but it needed to be done. I came along at the right time to be the one to spearhead it. And it's something I've done other places, as well. But this is the only thing I'm doing now. Is this? I'm getting too old to do it.
No,
but
she's a force. Don't let her. Don't buy that
but
for
I just
a second.
say I've met so many people through your website, but also through this campaign. And people call up and we get in these conversations, and I say, where do you live? Have you been there? Some have, some haven't. Some wish they had. And this reunion came back in person and virtual, and we always do a virtual thing. I think that's the only good thing about the pandemic.
It came out of that,
Zoom.
Doing the reunion virtually as well for folks who can't make it, but do try to make it, because there's nothing like being there. Oh,
so I got there early on the Thursday. The meeting is Saturday, right? And the cars came, occasionally the first day, and the first two people that came were each had one driver, a woman. And I said, oh, where are you from? She said, San Diego. I said, wow.
All the way. She drove all that way.
With her dog.
With her dog.
And the next one was a little bit younger, but she had her Chihuahua. And she'd come from Minnesota, and she'd gone to Maine, and she was going home via Texas.
We had another from Seattle.
I call those gals Priscilla's.
Yes, they are the Priscillas.
Absolutely. That's a Priscilla attitude. And
that's right. We Aldens are doers.
So
we get things done.
I meet a family from Seattle and said, oh, how was your flight? And so we drove. And I'm like, okay.
That's it. We Aldens, hey, there is no way they would have come across and set Plymouth up and made it all this time if they weren't doers. We have learned in all the posts that I've done, we've discussed how hardy they were, and it runs in our blood to this day. It's there. We can get this done. We just need to pull together. We're a family. We're preserving our family heritage and our country's heritage.
I apologize. We were going to do this live next week, and it's just impossible with the holiday coming up for us to get together. So I was coming up for board meeting. So we did it as if it is live.
Yes. Well, it is
the
live.
other
We're
thing
just
is that
sitting
you
here
can't-
chatting. There's no editing here. We're
No.
just chatting.
But that you can't ask us questions. But
Yeah.
if you
Well,
if
I
you
will
care
go
to,
on. I will go on Tuesday, and if you can jump on, I'll just do a quick live next Tuesday. And any questions from this that you have?
be happy to answer them. And just think about it.
Yeah.
I think imagine that. Can you imagine if this group raised $400,000?
We can do it. Well, no, my group of cousins right here, I know you all so well. I know that we can do this. We're going to have a thermometer of our own for our group and see what we can do. I believe.
And some of your people have been very generous. So
Yes,
far.
I know, and that is true. And many of you have already donated. And it's crazy the people I meet. Sometimes people just messaging me from the group, but also people I meet not Aldens at all. They're just like, I just recognize how important this history is, how blessed we are to have this Alden House and these lands, and it's such an incredible heritage, and they're giving because they know how important it is.
Well, for instance, I've given already, obviously.
I have too.
But I'm going to put another $100 in this.
Wow, okay, I'll join
today.
you. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, see, we've already got 200 in the pot. Okay, come on, I know we can do this. This group, as we said, we're at 800,000. And we need to be over 1 million by the end of the year.
Yep.
I think we could do that. We're on our way to 5,000 people in this group.
Then next year we have to reach the goals.
And then we have to, but
we got
for
to get
now,
that shovel in the ground by next spring.
Right.
23.
Right.
Yeah.
But right now we're going. So that's our goal.
Yeah.
We're going for 1 million. By the end of the year, we're already at 800,000. It's totally doable, people. Together, we can do it together.
And I have a very generous donor that donated $500,000 as a match. So we're not at his match yet.
Yes,
So
he did.
Your gift is going to count twice.
That's key. Yes. So that is
Just
true.
know
We
that.
should have mentioned that. So he donated $500,000, but it's dependent on getting the match. We have 200,000. So we need to get that.
Yeah.
That extra
Getting
300,000
to the next 200,000 will do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's wonderful.
Get it done.
Then I might have to ask him to do it again. Who knows?
But anyway, we wanted to share this with you. We'll all pop on Tuesday. I don't know if you can join or not. You've got a busy week next week. But I'll pop in on Tuesday next week. And any questions you have from any of this, I'm happy to answer it real time. In the meantime, we want to wish you ahead of time a very happy 400th anniversary of the Thanksgiving. And in doing so, Pauline, what is an Alden Thanksgiving recipe that you have to have on your table every year? Just your favorite thing?
Oh, there's two of them. One I put up on the website in response to the Trivia Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And that's called a chocolate steam pudding.
Ooh,
Absolutely
yum.
delicious. It's cooked on top of the stove.
Ooh,
and then just
lovely.
finishes off in the oven for 10 minutes after. And why is it a Sunday dish or a Thursday dish in terms of Thanksgiving? Because you put your roast or your bird in the oven, and when it comes out, this only goes in for 10 minutes after that.
Perfect.
And it's warm for
So
dessert.
it's easy.
It's delicious. And the other thing is something I brought you today again. My pumpkin bread. That's an old recipe. It's just very basic. Nothing else but the pumpkin in it. But I've done it both ways, with the canned pumpkin and with the fresh pumpkin, and there's a big difference. Use the fresh pumpkin.
The fresh pumpkin?
It's moisture is not pre-seasoned. You're just seasoning it yourself. And everyone in my family loves it.
Yes.
So,
okay,
we'll probably dig into this one tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I know. She brought I've been kind of salivating over it, waiting to get over there and have some. She brought one last time and it was gone by the next day. So it is very good, and that's very healthy. I will get both of those recipes and post it in our group too, so you can see it, or else you can see it on the Alden page.
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, thank you for coming.
Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. I love reading what you're all doing, and there's a lot of talent. And so if you have talent with history, talent with technology, talent with anything else that we could use at the Alden House, your homestead, please let us know. We'd love to explore the possibilities.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter where you are. This is your heritage, your home, and we want you to be a part of it. So let us know if you're interested.
So I'm going to go get a piece of pumpkin.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. You
Take
guys
care.
have a great day. Talk to
Bye-bye.
you later. Bye.